Jason.
What's your favorite Cher song?
I think it's gotta be I Got You, Babe. Sunny and Cher. And I also want to let you know I was Cher for Halloween once. And it was
Mm.
epic. It was epic. It was epic. Jason, what about you? I know you are a Cher fan.
Well, I guess, yeah, I would have to say, if I could turn back time.
Great impression. Hello, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to Survival Jobs, a podcast in collaboration with BroadwayWorld. Welcome to episode 33.
Wow.
Wow.
I love that for us.
I do too. Wait, aren't you 33?
No.
Last. You're 32. You're 32.
I'm 21.
Same.
I want to give you a round of applause, though.
Me?
Yeah. Just want to give you some flowers. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, babe. So are you. I got you, babe. You know what I mean? We couldn't do this
tying
without
it
each
back
other.
in.
Yeah.
Except I don't want to be
Jason.
Sunny.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He was a mess.
We could just be ourselves in the roles.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
Cool.
When we can make them our own, you know?
For real.
Jason, so something so fun that we both did last week was we both saw POTUS on Broadway.
We did. Not together, though, unfortunately.
Not together, unfortunately, but in the same week. So it felt like we were there together. What'd you think?
Right? I had a great time. And it was funny because it was like after Hamilton. So like I was like, oh, it's going to be tough to compare with Hamilton, right? Like just a high from that. But
very different.
Completely different. Very political though. So they did have some commonalities. But I had such a great time. I laughed so much. What about you?
I was crying laughing. I did have a couple of martinis at Sardi's right across the street before. And if you go to Sardi's, you know that the drinks are very strong. So I was a little tipsy and was howling laughing. It was so funny. Rachel Dratch, I never know how to say her name.
That's perfect.
Thank you. You're perfect. She was killing me. She is like comedic genius. I mean, we all know this about her. I've never seen her live, right? I don't know. Was that her Broadway debut? I should know.
Yeah, it was her Broadway debut. Yeah.
I mean, unbelievably funny. Howling laughing. She was amazing. Julie White was so good. I mean, it was an all-star cast, you know?
Literally every single actor up there was phenomenal. I think Rachel Dratch had the most showy part, because I don't want to give it too much away, but she goes on a very extravagant trip, we'll say that. A very wild trip.
Yeah.
And so I think she had the most like inherently funny role, but they all were funny and they all had really great moments. Like I love Vanessa Williams. Like I stan her so hard, and I was so happy to see her again. I do. I saw her in Trip to Bountiful a couple years ago, and then seeing her again in this, she's a fantastic actress. I feel she's so underrated.
Fantastic, and her costumes were. She looked so fierce.
Yeah.
Don't give
the
it
Crocs,
away.
Yeah.
I actually almost bought a pair of Crocs today, but I didn't.
That's one trend I just can't get on.
Yeah,
just
me
can't
either.
do it.
Okay.
Wait, you didn't see Julianne Hough, right? Because she's in POTUS, but she was gone that week.
She had COVID that week.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if that was. Yeah.
I think that's what they said. I don't know.
So we saw the understudy, Lisa Helmy Johansson. I have my little Playboy here just to make sure I said it. No, wait, was it right? Did I say it right? Yeah, Lisa Helmy Johansson, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I do know.
Made her Broadway debut, and I was just thinking, yeah, she was phenomenal. Excellent. She was Julianne Hough's understudy, and I was reading that, and I was like, went on Instagram to let's look her up, and I saw some videos of her and how excited she was with her husband. I did a little stalking, I guess, but that's so exciting to have your Broadway debut after this pandemic. Well, I mean, the pandemic is still going on, but yeah, I don't know, and to be in such a great, fun play with all these amazing women, I was so happy for her. I wish I did the stage door because I would totally have told her that, but I don't do that.
So I don't know. I don't know that they do. I don't know that that's allowed to happen anymore with the co, but
Oh,
what do
oh
I
yeah,
know? Oh, with the co.
yeah. With
Yeah,
the
no, I was thinking that too. Can you imagine making your Broadway debut in this legit all-star cast? All-star.
literally all-star
Like Julie
cast.
White Wall.
Like,
Like it's
yes. What else is going on this week? Anything else?
yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm so sick about it, but we should
Hmm.
mention a little bit about the Supreme Court trying to come for my rights.
Yeah. I mean,
Like seeing this. So it's so crazy. We watched this political show and
hmm,
laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. And then in real life, this is happening. I know it's not officially passed, right? But the fact that is it? No, it's not.
no, it's like it got leaked. Like it's like something they're working on, and
The
I guess it's like
fact
a
that
big
it's even,
scandal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Hmm.
scandal.
Yeah.
The fact that it's even a conversation that we're having, a fact that this is even written down on a piece of paper, the fact that somebody thinks that it's okay to take that away from women is just there are no words. There are no
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
None. So I can't talk about it. I really can't because
I
it
mean, I
makes
have
me
some words, but
ill.
I don't wanna get banned from Broadway World, so I will,
Yeah.
um
You we can transition to talk about our guest
no,
today.
but I
Okay,
think
go.
no, I just wanted to say, like, I think what what this is a reminder of is how important voting is, right? And
Yeah.
I know, like, people have their opinions on, you know, on I was gonna say, well, I can't think of the word. People have their opinions on candidates, and people have thoughts about the elections, and like if it's important, or like if I'm a Democrat and I live in a Democratic state, like does it really matter? But like at the end of the day, like we need to, and I'm gonna make like a call to action. Like everyone needs to get involved in your local politics because that's like the most important, right? And also pay attention to what's happening. Like I know there's so much happening in the world and it's like a lot and it's like really heavy and like every day there's like, there's a war in Ukraine and then there's Afghanistan and there's the COVID and then there's Black Lives Matter and then there's like API hate. Like there's so much. I get it. And I know how intense and how heavy it is, but we need to be aware of these things that are happening because they will take our rights and they're not going to stop at women. It's going to start with y'all and it's going to go to like interracial marriage and it's going to go to LGBTQ plus. Like it's happening. We need to be vigilant and we need to like really pay attention. So that's like my whole thing. It's
You're
exhausting.
preaching. No, you're right. It's exhausting. Yeah, that's why that's why I can't. Like I'm not there yet. I'm still like in shock that we're even
Hmm.
saying these words. What
Yeah,
year is it? It just makes
I
me ill,
know.
ill, ill. And I think it's so
Yeah.
interesting. Life is so silly and funny. Like I just said, we're sitting watching a show called POTUS, crying,
Hmm.
laughing because it was so funny and the writing was so brilliant. And then
Hmm.
we leave the theater and we enter back into real life and we're like, "Oh shit." It's not so
Yeah.
funny.
About to be Handmaid's
It's not so
Tale.
funny. Yeah, praise be,
Yeah.
honestly.
I we
Well,
made
not
that joke
praise be.
before. We made the joke before about the wall, but like y'all, this is heavy stuff. Not to be over dramatic and hyperbolic, but like pay attention,
That's
and
right.
vote. Midterms are
VOCE.
coming. Yeah.
VOCE.
There we go.
Not
Well,
to take a hard turn, as
yes,
we do, as you and I
that
usually do.
more badass women we want to talk about. Michaela
Yes,
Diamond.
Micaela Diamond, what a queen. Micaela Diamond, I don't want to speak. How old is Micaela? She's a young girl. Not a young girl.
She's in her 20s, which I'm
She's in
not
her
anymore.
20s, which we're definitely not. In this interview we did with her, I was like, "Wow, you're so much more mature than I am." And she
Mm,
spit so much wisdom and I was so grateful to have her on and we
same.
loved talking to her. And we can't wait for you guys to
Mhm.
hear about her. She's also such a star, an
Yeah.
unbelievable star. So
Cool.
so
And we gotta give a
yeah.
shout out to her mom, Karen. We love her mom.
Yeah. For sure. So we'll tell you guys a little bit about her and then enjoy the episode 33.
Hmm.
So, Micaela Diamond, just after graduating high school, she played Babe, the youngest Cher in the Cher Show, winning her a Theater World Award for the best debut performance on Broadway.
Yes. She went on to perform in A Play is a Poem, written by Ethan Cohen in LA, and starred in the world premiere of the musical Row at the Williamstown Theater Festival this past summer. Some of her TV credits include Jesus Christ Superstar Live in Concert and The
Here's
Gilded Age.
Hey,
And she was also with our boy Robin playing Peggy in Tick Tick Boom.
hey. By the way, she has a short scene in Tick Tick Boom, but she's so funny. So if you
Hilarious.
guys
Yeah.
haven't seen Tick Tick Boom, you're very
What
silly. First of
what's
all,
wrong with you?
you're months and months and almost a year behind at this point. But let's go. And she's so
Yeah.
hysterical.
You have to watch. I mean, if you're any kind of artist, you need to watch Tick Tick Boom. That's like a mandatory requirement.
Mandatory. I
Giving you
also can't
homework.
believe, yeah, homework.
Okay, we'll talk about it next
All
time.
right, yeah, yeah. Enjoy, Michaela, you guys. Thanks for listening.
Oh, this is so exciting. Thank you for being here, Michaela.
Thanks for having me, guys. So
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Survival Jobs, the podcast.
thank you. I'm here. I made it.
Yes.
You made it. We're all here. We're fighting through allergy season. We're fighting through a pandemic, but we're
Everything.
here and we're thriving.
Still here.
Yeah.
We're
was-
still here.
I was telling Michaela before I've been singing "I Got You, Babe" in my Cher voice all morning when I was getting ready. It's just like obsessed.
Practice.
Jason, are you gonna give us a little or
Oh,
maybe
no,
later?
yeah, maybe later. Maybe I'll feel like if it comes up, we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, it'll just be in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much. This podcast is obviously called Survival Jobs, a podcast, and we love talking to artists about their journeys and their careers and all of the fun survival jobs we have to do what we love. So I sort of just want to jump right in and do you have a survival job that you think has positively impacted where you are now or what you're doing that you also enjoy or a fun story you could share?
Oh man. Yes, for sure. I think I'll go back to the beginning because I think first one and my only one throughout my childhood since I was like truly 11 years old was babysitting. And
yes, Babysitters Club.
oh yeah, Blythe, thank you. And truly like have been babysitting for my whole life. But what's funny is a few days ago, actually, I ran into somebody I used to babysit for. This is a crazy story, but essentially I am a rare breed of a New Yorker and lived on Roosevelt Island for a year. I know.
Really?
Like, cram every day to get to middle school. Like this is my.
What?
So anyway, I lived in the last building on the island called the Octagon, and I lived 4 floors under this couple who I think I was 12 at the time, and I met them in the building, and they had one like 3-year-old and one like truly infant, like baby, and we met at the pool, and I was like, "Can I be your mother's helper or babysitter? Like I'm looking for a job, and I'd really love to do it, whatever." And they were actors, and I was like, this is so sweet, like I love this. So I started babysitting for them all the time, and like I just remember I would go to their door and like knock on the door, but before knocking I'd listen to them sing because like they'd be singing either to their or like to each other, and they were so good, and I was like obsessed with them. So anyway, I leave the Octagon and live the rest of my life, and then whatever. So then I book the Cher Show, the Cher Lab, and I get the little name sheet with like everyone who's in the cast in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And the top row of people is this woman that I babysat for.
Oh my God.
Haven Burton.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Incredible. Like truly one of the greatest voices she's incredible. She's been in Shrek and like a million different things, and she's married to Denny, who has been in Chicago for truly 25 years at this point.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Ran into Denny on the train the other day, and I was like, can you believe our lives? Like I babysat at 12, and then I did a Broadway lab with your wife, like
Right?
10 years later. And like now I'm bumping into you on the train, still in the same show you were in when I was
Consistency.
Yeah, the world is just wild. And that's one of my favorite babysitting stories just because it was so full circle. Like so full circle.
That. Love a full circle moment.
I also love New York for like these moments and these stories.
Oh, I know.
I also need a sidebar and say Haven was in Rent, right?
Yeah.
When I was a child, one of my best friends is Robin DeJesus, and I saw he was in Rent at the same time she was. So I was coming in from Connecticut all the time to see it.
Oh,
and I think she was Mark's mom and understudy of Maureen, and I was obsessed with her. I was like, oh my God, like that is
so good and so good. Funny. At the beginning, I'll tell this very short story, but when we were the first draft of the Cher Show, we did this lab, and the whole beginning there was this section that sidebar, but the Cher Show in the first draft was essentially a version of what the 70s show was. So the 70s show was called the Cher Show, and it had a bunch of skits like SNL is now. And so all of these skits we made into like little pockets of like what her life was like, what her childhood was like. So we had a skit at the beginning of the Cher Show. Like the title of our show was actually really smart before we changed everything. But anyway, that one of the was this like childhood vaudeville number where my mom and dad were Haven Burton and Christopher Siebert, and they did this hilarious number about how like how I had 10 dads, and like they were throwing around on chairs and like all these funny things. It was like the best scene of the show. Like they were so funny. They stole the freaking show. And I will never forget their performances in that. But yeah, Haven is hilarious and amazing and like an incredible voiceover actor. Like she is so cool. And I hope she's never going to hear this in a million years because she's a mom of four. But like love to Haven Burton.
Like big shout out to, and like for me, my childhood also, I was like, oh, if I am gonna do anything, like I want to be like this.
Totally. Just nailing it on all levels. Yeah.
Love that. Well, to flip it and reverse it, as I always say, can you share a survival job story that maybe wasn't that great, or experience with a babysitting family that wasn't as great for you?
I'll move a little bit now in my time. So I went to culinary school over the pandemic, which is wild. So I had
that explains Instagram.
Yes, correct. Yeah, all over there. I have now a food Instagram. Can you believe it, folks?
Love it.
I mean, I was full stalking it. full stalking it.
Mixed catch. So anyway, I went to culinary school, and after graduating, you have to do an internship for like 210 hours or whatever it is. And I will say, like, I went to culinary school because I kind of wanted to love my side job. Like, I knew I would need to have one, and I was like, I just love it. And like, granted, it's like not a side job that pays a lot, but you know. And so I didn't necessarily have like plans to like be in restaurant work for when I wasn't in shows or something, but you have to work at a restaurant for some time. And so I worked at this place called Vic's downtown in Soho. It's an incredible Italian restaurant and so good, and like family style, like great place to like go before the public, like really great place. And I was on garde manger, which is essentially like cold food, and I did fried food too. And I will say, like, I learned so much through that time. Like the deep respect I have for back of house is like monstrous, and like the way I think tipping be handled differently, like all of the things. And I hated it. Like it was so hard. I don't know how there were people on the line with me who truly had been there for like 6 years. And I was like, I cannot imagine, like my back hurt so bad all the time. Granted, my back hurt all the time in Cher too. So like, why do I keep picking?
Yeah. What was worse, the stilettos in Cher or on the line?
The back of house.
So I don't know why I chose these two, but I do love them dearly. So it was just really hard. And like, I did brunch.
Oh no.
So it was just a constant like swarming of like white people who have too many dietary restrictions. And like the hatred I have, not if you like literally are celiac, of course, like no, I'm not like judging, but like
Yeah.
when people come and like order the salad without the dressing, and you're like, but like, what is a it bothers me to no end. And so I think like with the mix of resentment I had for like rich white people, and also the like strain on my lower back throughout that time of my life, which was like only 3 months, truly. I truly was like, I have so much respect for restaurant workers and I'm never doing this again. But I also like learned what I did want. Like I didn't want to work in restaurants, and I did want to have a creative outlet that like still allowed me to cook, but was not restaurant work. That was not like time oriented. Like you have to get the ticket right now. Like I don't love that. I like taking my
For
time with
sure.
food, and I like not cooking the same things over and over again. It like really took the creativity out of what I loved so much, why I went to school in the first place. And I have a job now that I work 2 days a week, called Harvest Moon Supplies, which is truly one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. And it's so creative. Like it's the opposite of that. It's such a small company. There's like 4 of us in the kitchen.
Oh
It's female
wow.
owned. Like we can play our own music. We can wear whatever we want. We can wear
Yes.
we want. Like there's so much creative license. It's very seasonal. And so like we come in every week with like what is growing from the ground this week, and
Oh,
we decide
wow.
from that. So it's so different, and I'm so lucky that that kind of fell into my lap, but I would have never
Mm,
found that without knowing and working at a restaurant. And there are
yeah.
skills from the restaurant that I use in that work 100%. Like
Mhm.
I think this is such a dumb thing to say, but when I was working in the restaurant, there is this feeling of like, I cannot go faster. I don't know how to go faster to get these orders out. And then eventually you're like, oh, you have to move faster.
Mm-mm.
There is nothing like simpler than being like, I can't cut faster, until you're like, oh, I do. Like I can cut faster. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's a wild thing to think, but you're like, yeah, I can move really quickly in a kitchen now because I know what it feels like to do that under pressure. So there are always skills to take out of the bad experiences, but yeah, restaurant life was not for me.
Yes, girl. You said brunch and I kind of like got shivers. So Jason and I both worked in the same restaurant. I legit a couple of times at brunch, like went into the bathroom and like kind of cried. I was like, this sucks.
Totally.
Because brunch is like people are hungover. They want to eat and
Mhm.
drink again. And like it is so
Yeah.
fast. And I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
what to do. And then the kids are throwing rice. Jason, remember that family with the kids that always
Yeah,
spilled
threw
the
rice
rice?
everywhere, yeah,
It
and
was
beans on the
just,
table.
yeah, it was just so like you said brunch and I immediately got shivers. I was like, yeah, I get it. I get the
Yeah. And
brunch
Mm.
it's
vibe.
all hard. Restaurant work is really, really hard no
Tough.
matter what position you are.
I always
100%.
tell people like everyone should work in a restaurant at least once
Yeah.
in their life to really
I think so too.
understand how hard it is. 'Cause I don't think people get it. Like that's not a low skill or unskilled labor. Like that's BS to me.
Oh, 100%. And like, I'm so happy that certain restaurants like Momofuku Co., owned by David Chang, his restaurants are starting to do like I forget the real term, but like a pool tip. So like everyone, there's
Oh,
tip
good.
receipt, same thing in Europe. Like your tip is already included and it goes to everyone who works there, because it is
Mhm.
it's such a team effort. And like that is such a huge thing that I wish people knew when like sitting down. There's so many things I wish people knew when they sat down. I mean, God,
Exactly. Yeah.
one thing like restrictions make the back of house it's really hard. I'm not saying don't give a restriction if you're like if you have them. Like I'm not saying that, but like know that like that's an extra bowl. That's an extra step for every single person on the line. Like when they call it, they have to say it, and then you have to remember it, and then the extra bowl has to happen, and then you have to wash the dishwasher has to wash that. You know what I mean? Like there's so much that goes into like hold the greens, which people said, like, what?
Hold the greens
In the salad, you know?
Yeah. We worked in Tex-Mex and people would order fajitas with like light oil. I'm like, it's a fajita.
Fajita.
What?
Like, you're going to a restaurant, like, take the oil. You know what I mean? It's just such a, fat is such a beautiful thing. Like, truly, I live for fat. Like,
Same.
put oil on your food. You know, it's not the devil. Like, America really has made things bad and good. And going to culinary school, that was like the most game-changing thing ever I could have learned, because like we made everything with our hands. Like, nothing was bad, nothing was good. It was our food.
Love that.
You know? Yeah, totally.
Wow, that's so amazing. Congratulations on like having this alternate career too.
Yeah,
it's so wonderful.
I know.
And then
I graduated like a year ago. It's crazy.
Yeah,
wow,
congratulations.
congrats.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So we'll jump back into this a little bit later, but I do kind of want to take a turn and talk a little bit more about the Cher Show.
Yeah.
Can you share what that audition process was like? And what it felt like to book something so major, like right out of high school? Is that right? Like,
yeah, it was nuts. I mean, I did get so lucky. Like, the fact that I didn't have to have like a crazy survival job until now is one of the luckiest things ever. But yeah, so I went to LaGuardia High School in the city. I grew up here, and my senior year I did Gypsy and
Yes.
and some agents came to see that production, and so I was kind of freelancing with the agency over the summer, meaning we didn't like sign any contracts because I was going to college. So I was like, why would I sign with you when like I'm about to leave? So I was auditioning a little bit that summer, and one of the auditions that came up at the very end of the summer was the Cher Show. And I truly like almost didn't go. I was just like, it was for Telsey, who's a really big company in New York. And I called them and I was like, I think I'm going to pass on this one, which I know is horrible, but like, I just think I'm really going to embarrass myself. And I don't want to do that with like the biggest casting company in New York. And they were like, okay. And then the weekend went by and they called on Sunday and they were like, we're going to make you go tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, we're making you. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, no ownership. Like,
yeah.
No, taking up space.
Oh, man.
But and I had my first initial audition just with Pat, so just with one of the associates that works at Telsey, and he kind of helped me figure out the material in a way that I didn't feel embarrassing anymore. He gave me some license to be like, you don't have to sound like her right now. Like, it's cool.
I love that.
Yeah, it was really nice. And then got a call back with the whole of the creative team, which was nuts. And at that point I was like, okay, now I want it. Like, you know, when that happens when you audition and you're like,
yeah,
I have less of a shit. And then like the next one comes along and you're like, I need this.
yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
Like, just ego validation. And now I'm here, you know?
Yeah.
And so I went to that callback and they asked me to dress like her in some way because it was being filmed for Cher, and
oh wow,
little imagination. I hope that's not quoted out of this. And so I straightened my hair and wore like a red jumpsuit and heels, and you know, we did this thing. I will say, like, just because I know this podcast is probably listened to by a lot of actors, and I think I never say this part, but I think it's really funny and interesting thinking back to it. I sang Song for the Lonely. That was the audition cut.
Yes, I love that song.
Also the hardest one to sing for sure. Like, it was the highest song that I had to sing in the show. And I remember so vividly in the room singing it, cracking on everything. Like, I was not good. That song was too high for me. And the pianist, who, like, honestly, I have to thank him. Like, I don't know who it was. I could not tell you who it was in that room, but I should have thanked that pianist, like found him after. But he was like, can we just lower it like half a step? Like, it's just like not in her range. And we did it again, and I sang the living crap out of it. And
Yes.
so much better. And that is such a pivotal moment of like, ask for what you kind of need. I'm not saying every production will like lower keys for you, but it was such a moment of like, yeah, like people in Waitress right now, whoever goes into Jenna, they choose their fucking key for Bacon Can Do. Like, it's not set. Like, they want you to sound the best. If that means lowering the key, especially for a show that's working their way from the ground up and you're originating something, like you're allowed to be like, I think like literally a half step would make me sound incredible on this material and not crack
Yeah.
all of you. And I'm, so
Mm-hmm.
that was a really good lesson to learn in the room. But anyway, so I finished that callback, and then I ended up going on my birthright trip to Israel. And the day I got back, they asked me to come in for my last work session. So I'm like literally on this trip freaking out. I'm like, did I book? Did I book? The whole time.
Oh my
Like,
God.
Right.
he's like, are you going to college? I'm like, I don't know. So I get back. I'm like totally jet lagged. I go to this final work session with just the director. And I remember my agent being like, it's between you and another girl. Essentially they're just trying to see if like you can take notes. Like, you're really young, that you don't have like a reputation in any way. So they're just trying to like feel your vibe out. And I was like, okay, cool. Because I love that stuff. Like, that's what I'm best at. Like, I can work things to death. Like, it's my favorite thing to do. Like, I went to drama school. Like, I can do scene study for hours. So like, when I went into this final work session, I was a little bit like calm. I was like, I think I know exactly my strength, and this is it. And if this is what you're genuinely looking from me, is like that I'm a hard worker and know how to take notes, like, I'm going to book this. And I left that audition, and I talked to Pat, who was outside the door, kind of like waiting for me, the associate that I've had first done my initial audition with, who, was amazing and excited about me.
Yes.
He said, he was like, great, so we'll let you know soon. And I said, I don't know where I found the balls to do this, but I said, or I'm trying not to say that anymore. I don't know where I found the gall to do this, but
Yeah.
I asked him, I was like, with so much respect, I am supposed to leave for Carnegie Mellon in 2 days, and my bags are packed, and I need to know by the end of tonight. And he was like,
Yes,
okay,
agency.
And in 30 minutes, I got the call that I had booked the job.
Oh.
I like got home. I like entered my apartment and got the call. And it was like, oh my God, my life is forever changed. I was alone in my apartment. My mom wasn't home yet. And I just remember like,
I feel like I'm crying.
it was truly like, it's the precipice feeling, it's like, oh, my life is about to change and no one knows except me. It's like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're like, I
Crazy.
need to know today. Thanks.
Horrible.
Pat, I'm giving you 30 minutes.
Like, my timer set. Like, what an asshole I was. But
No.
also,
No, not at all.
like, shout out to Telsey and Co. or whatever their name they're using now is, because they paid for my freaking deposit to school. I was like, I had outside the door too. He was like, oh, you're like leaving. I was like, yeah, I like put my deposit down. Like, I have paid to go for the first semester at least, whatever. And when I got that call, he was like, we're paying for your deposit.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Ooh, chills.
I can believe it because I'm transparency. I did not see the Cher Show, but I've been watching your clips.
Oh.
So I can believe it because you're fierce. Like, you're so good. So like, yeah, exactly. They are going to pay for your deposit because they needed you in that show.
Yeah.
That
Just a side note,
is
like
iconic.
your side note, I was watching you singing Gimme Gimme from Millie at like 9 years. Why were you like at 9 years old but sounding like a 40-year-old, like having an adult ass woman voice? You're incredible.
That's a funny story, actually. I'll tell you. So right before, so I'm originally from Margate, New Jersey, which is like 5 minutes away from Atlantic City. And for the first 10, I like literally wanted to do this my whole life, like 2 years old. And I was like, I'm going to be on Broadway. Like,
yes.
And when I turned 10, I had done like a community theater show in New York. I was like auditioning here a lot, whatever. I was like in the city once in a while. It was just my mom and I, and we got back to Margate, and I was halfway through 7th grade, and she was like, "Should we move to New York?" And I was like, "Yes." And we picked up our bags and like left. I like went into a random public school in New York during 7th grade, which was a horrendous decision, but also incredible. And so we moved to New York, but just before that summer, before moving, my mom was like thinking about this move, I think, and was like, "I don't want to be a stupid mom who is like blinded by her love for her daughter and thinks that my daughter is incredible, or like is hearing everything from like the community theaters in Margate that like she's great, and like just people are lying." Totally happens, right?
Yeah.
So she was like, "We're gonna go on a little trip this summer." And so we went on a trip, and she signed me up for like 10 contests, singing contests around like the like Brighton Beach. I don't even know, like random like Ocean City, like random places that had like pretty good, like the Apollo, like people that had like big singing contests. And this is so crazy. I won all of them, like in my age range. And she was
Wow.
like, "Okay, we can move. Like, I'm not crazy. Like, you have a good voice."
Yeah, that's so good. Shout out to your mom. Shout out to your mom. That's so badass.
I know. I want to give a shout. I wrote in the notes. I've got to give a shout out to Karen because she was on the Inside Edition, and she's like your best friend. And I was like, I love her. She's like really inspiring. That she like had so much.
She is.
She believed in you so much. I love that.
Like truly, still my best friend. She's just my heart. Like had done everything and more for me. And you know, she moved to New York with like no job at like, what was she, like 55 years old? Like it's hard to get a job in New York. Like she didn't have degrees. Like she had to start from the bottom, and like just doing a solo show May 20th in the city. And like half of my show ended up being about her, just because it's so like the relationship I had with her and like how open it has been for my entire life is truly like, the more I grow up, the more I realize so many people didn't have that. And I just like, I want to pass her love on to like everyone. Like all my best friends love her because she's so just like honest with like where she is, where I am. Like she's the best listener in the world. Like I've just never, I don't know how I got so lucky to have her, but yeah, she is remarkable. Like speaking of survival jobs, she like literally started a dance studio for me when I was 8 years old, because I had like grown out of all of the studios in my town. Started one in Margate, ran it for 3 years, breaking even, and then we moved to New York. Like she's nuts.
I'm like, what?
I stand Karen, yo.
A lot of people do. Like I had fans for a second who were like, I was like, "Are you standing my mom more than me? Like, what's happening?"
That's so good.
Like I'd meet people at the stage door and they'd be like, "How's Karen?" I don't know how I feel about this, but
that's hilarious. Okay. Sorry, I went on a side tangent. Sorry, Sam. But
don't be sorry to be. I do that every second.
No, but I was like, I have to shout out Karen and talk about your Gimme Gimme, because that I love that show, and that song is like one of my favorite Broadway like songs. So but going back to Cher Show, I know like, you know, actors prepare differently. Every actor's journey is different, also depending on the role. So I'm curious, how did you prepare? If you want to give a little bit, I know you can give away all your secrets, to play someone like Cher, like an iconic, legendary, one of the biggest superstars like of all time.
Yeah, you know, I am someone who always has asked for so much help. I think I'm like not, this is, you know, this is my belief. I'm not saying this is like other actors' beliefs, but like I'm like innately incredible at this job. Although I'm a really good asker for help. So like when we started this project, I just had so many resources now at my fingertips. Like I had an incredible voice teacher that I now knew about. I had an incredible dialect coach that the show signed on with Kate Wilson, who is like a Juilliard coach who I worked with diligently. I had Stephanie and Teal, who like have been in the business for forever and like helped me decide how we wanted to make this our show and how we could like connect the three of us. Like,
Love that.
I had an acting coach who helped me. Like, I very much used my resources to my advantage, I think. And I also will say, like, we had so much time. Like, the lab was in October, the whole month of October of like 2017. And then the show didn't open. We did an out of town in Chicago the following fall or spring, sorry. And then we opened on Broadway the following year. So like we had a year to get our shit together. And that's a lot of months to watch footage. So like I would just constantly watching the Sunny and Cher Comedy Hour, the Cher Show variety sketches, every interview she ever did. Like I watched everything and just like kind of had her in my ear a lot. And also like I was kind of lucky because secretly I loved my section of the show the best. Like everyone loved Sunny and Cher together.
Yeah.
The amount of nostalgia that the audience would just get run over with when I sang I Got You, Babe was like so much fun to watch. Like people loved that part of the show and it was so joyful. And then, you know, obviously conflict has to arise and like things got a little dark, but like I loved that section of her life. And so it gave me some freedom and room to kind of like ask who was she when she was young? Like there isn't as much footage of that stuff, you know, there isn't as much like behind the scenes of her and Sunny flirting and falling in love. But like that is quite easy to imagine, you know, like she was shy and vulnerable and my age. She was like 17 when they met. Like it was going through the same things. So not to say it was easy, but like there was a lot of, I was very lucky in that it kind of this role fell in my lap at a time when like we were living not mirrored lives. I am not Cher, obviously, but like my career was on the precipice, right? Like I was starring in this huge Broadway show and she was about to blow up with like Sunny and Cher. So like both feelings of like, how does this feel? Like, do I like being famous? I'm not famous at all, but that was in quotes for the people who are just listening. That feeling of like, oh, our worlds are dramatically shifting in some way. And like what is underneath all of that was really fun for me to explore. But I also will say that Cher and in this production or in this show specifically, which had not always been my process in other shows that I did in high school and stuff, there was a lot of outside in work that happened, is great. Like, you know, you put makeup and a wig on and it does help. Like you put feathers and your, you know, asses out and it does help. Like there was something about the like confidence that you must carry when you are half naked that is helpful for the like drive that was underneath everything she did. And like, you know, even just like the flick of the hair, it's like you have it now. You have the wig to do it. So it's like there was a lot of outside in that show. And like once we had our costumes on and all of that, it was like, yeah, like this is becoming easier. Like how can we all sync on our dialects? Like what's going on? But yeah, it was a process. Like it really was. It was a year-long process. And even when I was in the show, like things shift. Oh my God. Like the amount of weird things I had to go through while I was in the process after doing it a bajillion times. You're just like, your brain is like, I have to relearn this show a different way. Let me figure out how to spice it up. Like this week I'm going to work on this. It was just like a constant evolving process. And to be honest, like I loved that part. I loved doing that part. It was so fun for me. I really like the consistency, but also the freedom that TV film does not have, that at the end of the day, it is yours. Like you are the one performing up there making the final edit, you know, whereas that is not the case in film TV. You are very much just the vessel.
Wow. That's so true. I love that.
I don't know anything, guys.
You know,
you know, You know a couple things, I'm sure.
Just a few. I also love the way you talk about this with such passion. Like I loved that part. You know what I mean? And I think that's so important for artists to hear. Like ultimately that's why we all do this, right? Because we love it. And the way you just spoke about it, I could feel like your love of it.
Yeah.
I love that. How many times can I say love in one sentence, you
No,
guys?
it's true. It's true. It's such a dichotomy, right? It's like there were times I think when there's this one example I always talk about, but we were like 7 months into the run and I like forgot all of my lyrics for a week. Like there was just a week of shows where I just was like blanking all the time. It was so anxiety inducing, not in a way when you go to the white room and then you can like funnily save it. Like
Yeah.
that is so fun and I love that stuff. But this was like, I talked to Jared Spector, who played Sonny in the show, who has been in like 7 years in Jersey Boys, like has been in long run before. And he's like, there is a moment in time in a run where you're, this is so interesting to me, where your memory of your lines has to transfer from your short-term memory into your long-term memory. And so when you forget a line on stage, which happens all the time, you go, what's my line? And you reach into your short-term memory and you find it again. And immediately you say the line and you're fine. You know, it happens all the time. You're like, ooh, and then it comes out of your mouth. It's like almost.
Yeah.
But then there's a time when like it no longer is in your short-term memory because you haven't memorized in 7 months. It's just been on this cycle. And so there was a time like this week when I forgot my line and I like went to find it and couldn't find it. Like it just wasn't there. And no one on stage could save me because it was during Beat Goes On and it was like a spotlight dance number. Like it was the worst time it could have possibly happened. And I had to like rememorize the show in a different way so that like when I forgot my lines, they could be present for me again. But the amount, like I remember coming home after those shows to my mom and being like, I will never do musical theater again.
Oh no.
Do not let me go again. And the whole time she was like,
No.
okay. Yep. Because she just had to like yes me in that moment.
Yeah.
That like this happens all the time, you know, when you're younger and doing shows and you're in a process and it's horrible and then you do the week of shows and you're like, I love theater, you know. It's like forget about like the trauma you went through to like get there, you know. But it's like it was that. It was like horrifying, anxiety inducing. I've never been an anxious person. That was like the first time I had like really experienced like my thoughts are like spiraling in every sense of the word and I have to somehow get up and do this again tomorrow. Like you're kidding me, you know, it's just constant. And then it leaves and then you're on the other side of it and then you're okay again. But it's wild.
It's crazy.
Thank you for sharing. I never really thought, I guess I never have done a show for that long
Yeah.
Wow, that psychology is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, I don't know if it's like backed by science, but Jared, Jared said that exactly how it feels in the moment.
Yeah.
Like that is what it like. It's no longer in your front pockets. You have to like reach somewhere else.
He must have been an amazing co-star. You guys have such great chemistry from what I've seen on the YouTubes.
The YouTubes.
We fell in love every single night on that stage. We're still best friends. Like yeah, we had such a fun time. I mean, again, like going back to like our section just being so joyful, you know, like we just really got the bulk of the best part of our show. And every iteration of the Cher Show, so like lab to out of town to Broadway, there were so many changes that were made. And it did kind of feel like this like nerdy actor dream where you get to have your background work that like you would do as homework if you had started with like the script for the Broadway production. Like it was done for you. We had lived whole scenes together on stage in front of people that were cut from the show. So it's like we had so much backstory for our experiences on stage that like no one ever saw but that we really lived.
They had together. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was so special, and I think really impacted our chemistry on stage. I will say there were times when, like, we'd be at the very beginning stages of being flirty on stage, and I'm like, "We're being too flirty, like, we're skipping all of the steps." Like, we all now, but, like,
Yeah.
when you're like, "Let's reset a little bit," and then, it's all fresh and bright and loving and perfect again. But I love that.
That's
I love
so
that stuff.
fun. Yeah, it is so fun.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing all of that. That was amazing to hear, and I know, like, our listeners will be appreciative of all of that backstory and tea. I do want Yeah, it is. I do wanna go back to talk a little bit about how you went to culinary school and mix kitch. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, that's
And
right.
this whole other, it seems like, passion you have aside from performing. So, do you think it's important for actors and directors and artists to have another passion that they love equally or like close to, and why do you think that that's important if you do?
Um, yeah, I do. I think it's a complicated question. I think when I was younger and I was in high school, people would come in and give master classes and and I'd be like, no, like I know what I want to do, and it's this. And I think, like, if I were to go back, I would not tell myself any different. I loved how, like, one track minded I was at that time. Granted, that one track mind was validated at such a young age, so it's different for other people, I think, but I just have no regrets about that mindset and where I was. As I've grown up, and this is partly, like, I think my mom too, but, like, I I think I could be content and happy doing a lot of things, which I don't think is the case for a lot of people, but I was, like, so lucky to find an equally, like, a thing that I loved so equally to theater, like, that is so rare, and I knew, I think, when I started to feel the passion for it, that I needed to, like, literally grab it because it is important. I do think it is so, like, pivotal and important to have something that you love besides the work, because you don't bleed desperation going into audition rooms. You
Yeah.
have, like, a literal human experience that you can draw from in your acting work. Like, there's so many reasons why. But yeah, I think it's I I th- I mean, I think it's one of the most important things about being an actor. So
Yeah.
when I was in the Cher Show, I loved cooking for myself. I loved food in general, but also I had a really complicated relationship with it because I was half naked on stage every day.
Yeah.
This is in my show too, but I literally had 17 costume changes per show. So, like, I'd literally
17?
down. That's 128 times a week. So I, like, was stripping down into my, like, naked body, looking in the mirror and having to put something else on, and making sure my costumes, like, fit week after week after, and, like, if do they feel tighter this week, like, all these things that, and more so, besides even just, like, my own journey, I was playing young Cher, who was, like, fucking anorexic as hell, and, like,
Yeah.
was a completely different time. Like, she started, like, Cher Barbie was a thing. Like, it went from Marilyn Monroe to stick figure, and that was something at the time that I felt was pivotal in how I was to show up to my job, was to be skinny in some way and small. And then throughout the process, that mindset really flipped on its head. So, like, throughout the process, that was, like, how I felt during the lab, the out of town. And then the more I got to know Cher in general, the more I got to know people who had been in the business for a long time, say Stephanie, who, like, refused to change her body for the process. She was like, I'm literally a mom of a 3-year-old. There's no way I'm, like, going on a diet. And
Good. I
then her
love
winning,
that.
yeah, it's like, and then she was rewarded in a certain way, like, she got an award for her performance. And so there was something, not that she didn't have thoughts as well, but there was this part of my mindset that shifted from, like, musical theater is actually heightened. I've known this my entire life. Why did I feel the need to shrink myself to be a copy when, like, even even if I was that copy, I still would not be Cher. Like it was a thought that helped me make bad habits. Like it was a thought, the me justifying it acting wise was what helped me maintain my like fucked up small habit things. And so I think throughout the process that was really flipped, and I realized I just like really I loved food so much. I was like, I really don't want to have this relationship to it. Like I genuinely
Yeah.
I see so many older actors who still have this mindset. And I was lucky to be surrounded by that because I was like, I don't want to be that when I'm 30. I don't want to have to worry about that when I'm 35. I'm actually refusing to do that. And so I made a kind of choice during the process to change it. And when I got out of the Cher Show way before the pandemic, I was like, I'm going to go to culinary school because I love food. I want a side job that I'll be thrilled with. And I want to take away all fear that was associated with some of the rules I had created throughout the process. And to be honest, like, of course, I don't think this would work for everyone, but I definitely think that, like, there is something. I've had friends who have like been in rehabs for this, like horrible stories. But I do think that like culinary school is better than a rehab. Like it creates so much joy around food that it is hard to fathom being scared of pasta when you make it yourself. Like, and so it really like shifted everything for me and was also hard. Like I would come home after eating 5 different cuts of steak before 11 a.m. and be like, I am okay. Nothing is happening to me. I'm not like things that I was like, this makes me bloated. Like it didn't. Like my mindset was scared. And so I became like in my head about how I looked at the time. But like there were plenty of moments where like culinary school was scary and hard. But like the only way to do it was to like go through it and like listen to my body of like what really was feeling scary and what I had kind of made up through my process and my youth and capitalism and the things that the diet industry says we have to be and should be and whatever. And so after school, like that's how Mixed Kitsch started, was like, it's just this thing that I love so much. I had started writing these poems on the subway on my way to school about what we had done in class the day before or something, working through some of those feelings I was having about like shrinking myself and relating them to things like literally techniques that we were learning about like searing a steak in cast iron and how like my belly seared when I had my period, like just random things that I would like connect that like felt really true to me. And so that's how Mixed Kitsch started. I also started a supper club right after, not right after, but like 5 months after culinary school, which is still going today. I do it once a month and I invite like a group of 10 people who don't necessarily know each other, but who I think would really get along in the business, outside the business.
Ooh.
Try and like really deliberately form conversation around like what our lives are looking like. And I cook like a 3-course meal and it's all seasonal forward. And it's like a way for me to practice and also like have host, which is like truly the passion and where all of this came from in the first place, like gathering around a table and sharing a meal. But yeah, that's kind of like why I ended up going to culinary school and like what I'm doing with it now. But I think it's an ever evolving thing. I will say like I've never loved my body more since going, and like how it's changed, and like gaining 30 pounds after Cher has been like a beautiful like new world of like you just buy the jeans and it feels good, you know. It's like it's a fun kind of process, but yeah, it's been like a full-blown journey since I closed.
I'm obsessed with you. You're so amazing. Like you're incredible. You're incredible.
I literally needed to hear that today about just like
Oh,
body love and positivity and like it's okay. Like I literally, my thought when I woke up today was like, oh my God, I'm so bloated because I drank so much wine 2 nights ago. Fuck. Like I'm bad because I'm bloated, but like no, it's life and wine is delicious.
bodies are gonna change like a million one times.
Yes.
And I think getting used to the fluctuation, especially of a woman's body, I think like
Yes.
period. That was another reason I was like, I had lost my period for a year during Cher and was like, I really want kids. So like I have to gain some weight to get this back. And like, had gone to so many people who were like, take these vitamins, take this. And I was like, in the back of my head the whole time, I was like, I just have to get to a normal weight. And once I got to a normal weight, my period came back. You know what I mean? So it is just like, it's one of those things of like, how do we want to treat ourselves like in this one lifetime? I'm like in my 20s, like it's not worth it to like not drink.
Figure that out. I'm glad you figured out in your 20s, because like I'm in my 30s and me and Samantha talk about this all the time, like how we treat our bodies and like how hard it is. I don't want to go into too much of a tangent, but I really needed to hear that today, and I appreciate that so much. Thank you for being so honest and so genuine about that.
Yeah, and it's also so it's so important for our listeners to hear, because I think like a lot of people that listen are like young actors trying to get in the business, thinking that like I have to be skinny, my headshot, my chin line, my eyes, like whatever, and like it's not. I think the industry is changing so much too. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say is like I did feel a certain responsibility and guilt after the Cher Show closed, because I did have a lot of young girls following me. And I was like out about how I was queer and out about how, like all these things. And yet I was also like broadcasting my small body at the time. Granted, like I was also in a show in which I was wearing costumes. Like it was my job as well. I don't necessarily have regrets about anything that happened, but I will say that like I didn't want those young girls to think that. I didn't want those young girls to be like, in order to be starring in a Broadway show, you have to be small and thin and whatever. And the more shows that I have done and the more young people that I see coming up, the more it's like not the priority, which is really exciting. And I think older people are kind of grappling with it. I think that there's like a large group of women in our industry who are like, wait, that's not what I have to do. I'm confused about that. Like, but I had to do it, so you should. There's an interesting dialogue surrounding it that I would love to like actually have, but it's tricky. Like, how can we possibly be that vulnerable with each other? Like, it's a very individual process, but I think that's why I feel now at this point in my life and like my career and my body journey and all the things that like this part is important to talk about too. The fluctuation of my weight is important to talk about. Me feeling bloated, like all of those things are part of it. But I will say like, I will never change my body for a role ever again, just because I feel such a responsibility, firstly to myself and also to the people who follow me and who like will be the next generation who don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want anyone to feel the need. It's so much more powerful to watch a movie and see yourself than like see what you wish whatever. It's like, the classic, like, who do you follow on Instagram that makes you feel good about yourself? Not like, I don't know. So I don't want to be the follow that people are like, she makes me feel like shit. I want to be the follow that's like, oh, she's really like open about everything.
Yeah.
And a normal person. Like a real human.
A good person, a normal good person.
Yeah. Something.
Gosh, I want to come to the supper club. I want to get on that. That's amazing.
It's so fun. Y'all make posts to this. Like, it's very deliberate and like stupid in the best way.
No, it sounds amazing. So I know we're coming up to the close of our interview / discussion before we play a really fun game, but we have two.
Don't even think questions. You know we play a game. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you tell her.
No, I don't think so.
It's a really fun
always
game.
End with a game.
So I just want to just ask you really quickly, what was it like to work on Tick Tick Boom? That was your kind of first foray into film, right? And working with Lin-Manuel Miranda. Oh wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. That scene was also just so fun.
I was gonna say it looked.
It had a ball. We like pretty much spent the whole day just in that little room taping, and like there was definitely a script and stuff. And we also we had freedom to like improv for just like minutes on minutes on minutes. And so it was so
Yes.
fun to see what we all created. And like, I felt safe because Laura Benanti was there, who's like in our industry, but also I was like sitting next to Andrew Garfield and like eating his banana.
Yes.
Great. Truly crazy. But yeah, I loved it. And I filmed it just like the day before their set shut down for COVID, and then saw it in theaters recently. And so many people have come up to me and been like, loved you in Tick Tick Boom. And I'm like, thank you. What an incredible thing film is to literally do nothing. Like, I have done nothing here. I'm getting compliments on a thing. Like, with shows, it's like I'm working my ass off every day and get the compliments. Like, they feel very validated. You know what I mean? But film, it's like, God, I've done nothing today and got a compliment because someone watched a movie. It's like so exciting. So I'm really glad that people loved it. I mean, I thought it was such an incredible movie. I was just like so grateful to be a part. I was like, holy crap. Like, this is one like I'm showing my kids. You know what I mean? Like, this was one of the classics that like see that joke, like see that cameo, like every single person was amazing. It was so fun.
It's a beautiful film. Fun.
Yeah, I thought so.
Amazing. Literally though, like Jason and I like find people we want to bring on the show. I was like, oh my God, this girl's so funny from Tick Tick Boom. And then I went down your rabbit hole and was like, oh my God, she's amazing. And so many things. But just that like one scene, I'm like, this girl is funny.
Yeah.
And who is she? And let's get her on this damn podcast now.
That's so great. Thank you.
And here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations. And congratulations on being a part of exactly like a classic.
Crazy.
Like, I will cry every time I watch that film.
Me
like, what
even is it?
Yeah. So we've talked about you going to culinary school and now having this amazing passion for cooking, being on Broadway, being in film. I know we didn't even talk about your TV stuff, but we'll drop it in the show notes. Do you have a dream job that you think about that's like, that is what I want my life to look like? Doing a dream job, or maybe like somebody dreamy that you want to work with?
It's crazy. I kind of got my dream job. It has not been announced yet, but it will be announced in a few months. And it's crazy, and it's just my absolute dream. So when that comes out, you will know that that is the answer to this question.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
It's happening this fall. So it's kind of soon. So that's like my acting foray. Big dream is definitely that role.
Oh my God, I can't wait to know. I wish you'll tell us when we stop recording, but I don't think we will. Oh, yes.
Is it a cooking show, like live on Broadway, like cooking but singing?
No, but I like my other dream job, like I have thought about this, would be like some form of like cooking, traveling. I would love to host something and get paid so much money to do it. Like, that would be such a dream for me. I don't know if there's room for like a white woman in that world right now, but I would like, if that time ever does come again, I would totally be there, or like be the assistant to whoever is there. But like, I love traveling. I love cooking. I'd love if one day I could get paid to do both at the same time. So that's the other.
Let's manifest it.
Manifesting
it. To do both at the same time.
Let's manifest all. Let's burn the sage. Let's.
I can't wait to know what the dream job that was booked is. I'm like, hyped. I want to like wrap this up quick. And when that does come out, we'll definitely like shout it out on the Instagram. Perfect. And so everyone can know the answer.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much. That's the end of the interview portion of the show. You're amazing. We're so grateful that you came on and shared space with us. It just was incredible. I can't believe it's been an hour. I've been just like so in this.
I know. It's great. I love it. I love talking about
it. Yay. So we end every episode with a game just to like bring it back to having things be light and fun wherever we went to in the interview. So your
in the
game,
world, there's like so much craziness in the world. You want to bring some joy, some
That's
laughter.
Right. Also in the world exists outside of this interview. Correct. So your game that we've come up with is since you were in the Cher Show, we have a game called Cher Trivia. Original. We have a lot of multiple choice and then also some not. But we think you're going to do great. Okay, question 1. For what movie did Cher win her Best Actress Oscar? A. Mask. B. Moonstruck. C. The Witches of Eastwick. D. Tea with Mussolini.
Moonstruck.
Correct.
Yes.
Off to a great start.
Number 2. What was Sonny and Cher's first huge hit song?
Oh, is this no multiple?
Oh, no multiple choice.
Oh, no multiple choice.
Sorry.
I got you.
Correct.
Yes. 2 for 2.
I forgot I was on mute. Sorry. Okay. Number 3. What is Cher's character name in The Witches of Eastwick? A. Jane. B. Suki. C. Alexandra. D. Victoria.
I think it's A or D. A. C.
Great work.
Great work.
Her name was Alexandra in The Witches of Eastwick. Excellent film. Excellent film.
Incredible. Excellent.
You're really killing it. Really did that one.
Cher said she always wanted to do a musical movie. So which campy cult classic musical did Cher bring the character Tess alive in? No multiple choice.
Mamma Mia.
Oh, another trick one. It's actually Burlesque before Mamma Mia.
Actually, I know everything about Burlesque. Like, this is my favorite film. I just heard musical movie and immediately went to Mamma Mia and even had the sad face because I was like, Mamma Mia was so dumb. But Burlesque was everything, and I could probably word for word say the movie to you.
Okay, we have to have a Burlesque movie night because I changed the question to that one that Samantha had because I love Burlesque too.
I have a DVD of Burlesque.
Same.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say that.
In my solo show.
Samantha, don't tell me you haven't seen it.
I mean, I have, but like,
no, it is incredible.
I don't think like start to finish.
At their peak.
Wait, say that again. You cut out.
Christina Aguilera and Stanley Tucci are literally at their peak.
It's wonderful.
Unbelievable.
Jason loves Christina Aguilera. I knew that was going to upset him. So sorry.
We're changing that. We're having a movie night, all of us. We're going to watch Burlesque.
Perfect.
There we go.
Right. Can't wait. Okay. Question 5. And then you have a bonus and you can redeem. It's always so shady when I tell guests that they can redeem themselves. Okay. Question 5. This is multiple choice. What was Cher's Broadway debut called? Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, Speed the Plow, Silkwood, Extremities. I didn't give you A, B, C, D.
Come Back to the Five and Dime.
Correct.
Right. Last one. For what song was Cher's first Grammy Award? Half Breed, Dark Lady, Believe, or If I Could Turn Back Time?
Wow, Jason.
Okay, well, it's not the last. I mean, you kind of went in order. I think.
Do you need to call a lifeline? Because I can give you one.
You know, I'm trying to timeline it. I mean, it's either Half Breed or Dark Lady, or not any of those.
Yeah, I don't.
A little bit later.
Serious? Dark Lady didn't win her Grammy? Okay, hold on. Give me C again.
C was Believe.
Okay, 100% Believe won her a Grammy.
Great.
The first one, but 100% that won her a Grammy. It was also the first like electro, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
What is it called? Like when you
electro dance.
Yeah,
with the vocoder on her voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Auto-tune.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I have no idea.
She like started auto-tune.
Rightfully so. The Queen started auto-tune.
The Queen.
Yeah.
The Queen.
Not that she needed it, but she did start it.
Totally. She needed
Congratulations on the game. You did a great job.
Thank you. Like mediocre, C+.
I would say that was the bonus, the last question. We usually give 100 if you get the bonus right. And you did, without any cheating at all. No cheating happened in this game. It was all pure.
I'm so proud of you. It's been a few years.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Samantha, I think you might be wrong.
Am I?
I just
hate when
Googled
I
it.
do this shit.
It said she won female pop vocal in 1972.
For what?
I was trying to click on it. So I just did a quick Google. I don't know.
Was
It's not
like
showing me.
Her, because it might have been like best artist,
Yes.
and then best song was Believe or
I
something.
got these questions from a quiz online called Cher Trivia, and that's what they told me.
Apparently, I didn't pay enough. Trivia.
Thank you so much. This was so great.
Having me. It was so great to meet you both.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for spending an hour with us today.
Yes. Hour seven. Before you go, can you tell everyone listening where they can find you on social media, to follow you, to hear what your dream job's going to be when that is announced?
Yes. So I'm at Micaela_Diamond on Instagram. And then I also have at Mixed Kitsch, which is the poems and the food that I make. And all my stuff is on there. I don't really have any other socials today.
I have a show coming up. Did you say that on this? Or did I...
Oh, yeah, that's a good time to...
yeah.
Yes, I'm doing a show May 20th at Green Room 42, and it's available to attend and live stream, and I'll have the link in my bio shortly.
Great, and then we'll shout it out too as well.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Yay.
Thank you. And if you're tuning in because you are a Micaela fan and you don't follow us yet, follow us, please, at Survival Drops Pod on Instagram and Twitter, on Facebook at Survival Drops a Podcast. Shoot us an email, survivaldropspod@gmail.com. Follow my boy Jason
at Jason A. Coombs, and my girl Sammy Toots, Samantha Tuozzolo at Sammy Toots.
Boom. Micaela, you are a queen.
Bow down.
Thanks.
Bow down.
Sorry,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.